Good morning. Once again here at RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks so much for streaming in. We're looking live there at the West Wing of the White House as the South African president will be there soon. And the two leaders will then meet inside the Oval Office and will play back or have live coverage right there as the two leaders talk about trade, talk about other, U.S. foreign relations, and also the Q&A back and forth with the reporters there. So we'll have all of that in its entirety as we get ready to see President Trump once again today on this Wednesday, May 21st. Again, thank you so much for streaming in with us. The past 121 days summed up in a 7-second soundbite of sorts yesterday at the Oval Office for President Trump saying, quote, "Our country was cold as ice a year ago, and now we have the hottest country in the world." President Trump saying that just yesterday, also posting a pretty funny Truth Social post this morning as he was teeing off, playing golf. That was the start of the video. People were cheering him on, and then that ball slowly hit the shoulder of Bruce Springsteen when Bruce fell on the stage that one time. Light comedy, all in good fun there. But it is great to see just, the fact that, we have a lot of serious stuff going on in our country. There's a lot to be done yet. We're not taking that lightly. I know, every one of my friends, all of you guys, we all know that there's a lot to be done yet. Even though the past 121 days have been great, there's still things to be done, obviously. There's still 3 years and several months left in this president's administration, and then hopefully more winning or great things to happen for our country in the future, especially hopefully after a big midterm win in 26 and all of the other things that we want to see, justice being served, our southern border being closed, all of these executive orders being signed into laws. I mean, there's a lot to be done yet, but we know that we have a leader that is not pulling any punches. If you would have seen, well, here's the thing. I always, monitor Truth Social here and there. President Trump posts something, I read it, just like you guys do. One of his other posts had a lot of likes on it. They all do, but there was a really powerful post just the other day, and we could actually pull up some of it in part here, what President Trump said pretty recently. We have some of that graphic of a photo there, but in the meantime, I'll start reading it. You see it right there. It says, this is in part President Trump talking about Joe Biden letting in all these illegal immigrants and that kind of thing. And he says, President Trump does, "It was the people that knew he was cognitively impaired and that took over the auto pen. They stole the presidency of the United States and put us in great danger." President Trump said, "This is, quote, treason at the highest level. They did it to destroy our country. The Joe Biden that everybody knew would never allow drug dealers, gang members, and the mentally insane to come into our country totally unchecked and unvetted. Anyone has to do is look up his record," the president says. "Something very severe should happen to these treasonous thugs that wanted to destroy our country but couldn't because I came along. Make America great again." So, I mean, that's a powerful statement from a president talking about, treasonous thugs and that kind of thing. So we see where the president stands when it comes to all of these things that are going on over the past 4 years, all of the lawfare, all of the attempts against him, and all of the character assassination. It was just constant, as you guys know. But that happened since 2015. As soon as he stepped in there, everybody's like, haha, yeah, right, Donald Trump's gonna win the presidency. Haha, yeah, right. He's just too normal. He's too authentic and resonates with the American people too much. He's not going to win. This is an establishment thing we do here. Well, then we saw what happened. President Trump kicked some serious, won that election, won the election in 2020, but we saw what happened there. And then it was too big to rig in November of this past year. And now here he is, 121 days into his second administration, about to meet yet another world leader. We'll dive into some of that here in just a second. Before we do, let's go to Colonial Metals Group. freegoldguide.com/RSBN is the website to go to for a free info kit on gold and silver. You see the QR code there as well. Awesome information there when it comes to learning all about gold and silver as a backup plan. So again, the tax-sheltered IRAs, 401ks, 100% tax-free with this great sponsor, Colonial Metals Group, freegoldguide.com/RSBN. Let's go to All Family Pharmacy as well, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You can save up to 20% now by using that RSBN 20 promo code. As you know, President Trump recently signed a powerful executive order to lower prescription drug prices across the country, a major step in the fight for affordable health care. But while that system drags on a bit, the pharmacy here isn't waiting. So if you're looking for ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, methylene blue, and more than 200 essential medications, some of the basics out there too, penicillin, amoxicillin, that kind of thing, all there for you. You can order in bulk and get 20% off. This is a 20% off sale that goes all the way till the end of next month, so the end of June. Great sponsor right here, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. We'll be talking more about these sponsors as we continue our broadcast here live right now as we get ready to see the South African president. He will be arriving there at the White House in just a bit. So the South African President Cyril Ramaphosa will be there. And then the president will participate in that bilateral meeting with the president of the Republic of South Africa in the Oval Office. We'll have that in its entirety that's open to the press. And then we'll hear from some of the reporters that will ask questions. And you know how that goes, the back and forth. So looking forward to that coverage. Now, the two leaders will discuss trade and foreign policy, along with any other topics that come up, including, we'll see, I'm pretty sure President Trump will bring up something that he's brought up in recent weeks about being outspoken about the white farmers, the Afrikaners that have showed up here to our country for refugee status, who are facing all sorts of awful conditions there, in some cases death, in some cases confiscation of their farmland. And it's not a huge group of people that are on U.S. soil now, but that is something, of course, President Trump has spoken about on Truth Social as well. As you see the military guard getting ready to welcome the South African leader. So this is something we'll bring you live as soon as we see the president of South Africa show up there, usually in the black SUV with the United States flag. You'll see the South African flag. And then once he steps out, the president and the president of South Africa, they say hello, and they usually wave to the cameras. After that, we'll have that live coverage from inside the Oval Office here shortly. So other news we're following today, Virginia Democratic Congressman Jerry Connolly has passed away after a battle with cancer. He was 75 years old. He served in Northern Virginia, so the Nova area in the 11th District. So that happened just recently. So that's breaking news out there as well. We do know the Golden Dome for America announcement from the White House just yesterday. We have that video as well as we get ready to go to that. And we see the guards in place there. So usually it takes a few minutes yet before the vehicle pulls up after the guards go into their positions there. So if we have that video ready, we could go to the Golden Dome for America announcement brought to you by President Trump and also the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, yesterday at the Oval Office, Robert McNeely in studio, of course, covering that great coverage there with a lot of viewers that have watched that live, but also on playback or replay. So looking forward to seeing all of the views that come in today with our network as we continue to cover a lot of stories as it's just Wednesday, May 21st, a lot more to come, including later this weekend on Saturday, the Army commencement address from President Trump in West Point, New York. And then on June 14th, some great coverage for the huge Army parade there that will be in the Virginia, Washington, D.C. area. And it will be all about the 250th celebration for the United States Army. So we'll have coverage for that. So 2 Saturdays of coverage coming up. So it's this Saturday, May 24th, and also June 14th. We'll be live right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Again, thanks so much for streaming in with us. Let's go to that video if it's all ready to go. The Golden Dome for America announcement that was just announced yesterday.
Office as we make a historic announcement about the Golden Dome Missile Defense Shield. We will truly be completing the job that President Reagan started 40 years ago, forever ending the missile threat to the American homeland. The one big, beautiful bill will include $25 billion for the Golden Dome.
It's a generational investment in the security of America and Americans.
Golden Dome is a bold and aggressive approach. to hurry up and protect the homeland from our adversaries.
The Golden Dome is going to be an even bigger legacy for our country.
The Congress is stepping up, as you mentioned, right now in the budget reconciliation bill.
You know, some funding is tough and some is easy. When we say we're going to save everyone's lives in a crazy world, it seems to be very easy to get.
Our enemies, our adversaries, are going to pay a lot of attention to this, just like they have to President Trump from day one. Sir, you're defending the homeland, defending the American people. So thank you for your leadership.
Obviously, that video from the White House just yesterday after the Golden Dome for America announcement made. Great to have that kind of protection here in this country. Great to see President Trump doing yet another thing for the safety of America. Just like Israel has the Iron Dome, well, we're going to have the Golden Dome right here in the United States. President Trump saying Canada wanting to be involved and having that protection as well. So, yeah, we'll cover that story as we get it. Speaking of stories, the American flags on both sides of the White House. Remember President Trump said there's going to be 100-foot tall poles with those flags? Looking forward to seeing that there in Washington, D.C. It'll be great to see the red, white, and blue Old Glory flying high and above there at the White House on both sides of the 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, the highest office in the land and the office that houses the leader of the free world. So as soon as we see any kind of development there, we'll share it with you. Let's go to angelpace.com in the meantime. Out of Spring, Texas, of course. And when you go to angelpace.com, you can use the RSBN promo code. You'll get a percentage off. You're talking the Miracle Cream there, but there's a number of other products on there as well. So patriotic group, they hire military veterans, headquartered in Spring, Texas, and they have a great product, as you see there, the Miracle Cream, Angel Paste. Go to angelpaste.com for that, and then also mypillow.com/RSBN, the 50% off beach-wide sale, the beach sale there. So how many of you are looking forward to going to the beach this summer? Those of you on the coasts, the East Coast, down across, the Gulf of America, all the way to the West Coast, and all of you in the middle of the country. I'm sure, whether you go to lakes, rivers, or you take a trip to the coast, might as well have some great gear from Mike Lindell. So mypillow.com/RSBN. Looking forward to a Gulf of America trip. Beautiful, beautiful just area there. And it'd be nice to have some of this, to be honest. One of those seats or chairs would be great too. So just use that RSBN promo code, 50% off for the beach sale, as you see. All right, so it's 11:44 this morning, Wednesday, May 21st. As we await the South African president there, we'll be also having a live interview in about 16 minutes with Justine Brooke Murray, the host at Media Research Center. She also has one of her shows. So she'll be talking to us about a lot of America First policies and just some of the things that are making headlines out there. We'll have her at 12 o'clock Eastern Time, 9 o'clock on the West Coast. Again, thanks so much for streaming in with us live. Also, I want to give a special shout out to those of you watching us live on Rumble, the great free speech platform Rumble, as many thousands and hundreds of thousands of people. I mean, we're talking more than 500,000 subscribers right here on the RSBN channel. So all you have to do is follow the RSBN channel on Rumble, and you'll be able to get all of this great access as well. So obviously doing a lot for freedom of speech. And also on the right side of history. And of course, we love freedom of speech here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. So we encourage you to follow us on Rumble. So go ahead and use the RSBN channel. Just click that subscribe button. Last check, I believe we're pushing about 600,000 subscribers. Let's get it pushed way over 1 million, in the next few months. I know it's possible because there's a lot of people that watch Right Side. So guys, thank you so much for doing so. And proud to be a partner with Rumble right there. All right, so 11:46 this morning, Wednesday, May 21st. Again, thanks so much for streaming in. I read that Truth Social statement from President Trump earlier. It's just still, I'm going to read it again. Maybe we could put it up on the screen, but he was saying it was the people that knew he was cognitively impaired and that took over the auto pen. They stole the presidency, President Trump says, and put us in great danger. He says this is treason at the highest level. They did it to destroy our country. The Joe Biden that everybody knew would never allow drug dealers, gang members, and the mentally insane to come into our country totally unchecked and unvetted. You see the script right there, the post from the president. And then he also said all anyone has to do is look up his record. something very severe should happen to these treasonous thugs that wanted to destroy our country but couldn't because I came along. Make America great again. So we see the president there with that very powerful post that he posted within the past 24 hours about Joe Biden, about the people that controlled the auto pen. And yeah, there's a lot of investigations, I think, going to start ramping up. I mean, there's a few going on here and there. James Comey's one of them, but there's other ones that are happening. And I know what the country is saying because I read a lot of the chats. I see what's being spoken about in the conservative media circles. I personally have friends and family that say certain things, and we all hear you here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. We want the best for our country. We want our country to be saved. We want all of the law and order to happen, the justice to be served. We want our southern border to be continually be sealed and closed. No matter who the next president is, hopefully it will be a Republican or somebody that is definitely MAGA. So we want that. And, if I wasn't in a suit right now, I'd be, in a T-shirt and a hat and just, maybe a little scruff on the face and just really connect with you. You know what I mean? That's what we want here at the network as we continue to cover all of these various pieces of live coverage. As it's 11:48, Wednesday, May 21st. And it's a little bit early, but let's go to Justine Brooke Murray with the Media Research Center. A few minutes early from our scheduled broadcast live interview. Justine, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me back.
Definitely. I'm not sure if the audio is really low, guys, but we'll work on that. So the mainstream media, of course, not quitting on lying to as many people as possible. It's still happening. Your thoughts about that?
It seems like they can't decide whether to pat themselves on the back and pretend that they were the ones who just suddenly discovered Biden's failure, his cognitive and his physical ailments. And meanwhile, they're saying, let's just quickly move on from this. Let's quickly move on from the fact that they were the ones who were complicit in this media cover-up for 4 years. Are you telling me that suddenly Joe Biden just happened to come down with a stage 4 prostate cancer just right now after his campaign, after they kept telling us he had a clean bill of health and that we're all conspiracy theorists for questioning?
Yeah, it's unbelievable to see all the things that they're trying to spin. We see it all the time. We're used to it now. So that's why it's great to have people like you at the Media Research Center and here at Right Side Broadcasting Network and conservative media to really correct it and just say, hey, no, this is common sense. This is really what happened. The American people are not fooled any longer. Let's talk about the reaction that you have for President Trump's statement yesterday that a year ago our country was cold as ice, but now our country is the hottest in the world. Your thoughts?
It seems what he means is that America is finally being respected again. You had President Biden going on a world apology tour. Nobody was flocking to go to the Oval Office to visit him. And just moments when President Trump was elected, moments after he won, you had Hamas releasing a statement saying, we actually do want to end the war now. We actually do want to release hostages. None of these hostages would have been released if it wasn't for President Trump in office. Just in November of 2023, you had Newsom cleaning up Skid Row, his entire state, just so Xi Jinping could visit, one of America's top competitors and enemies. And you had our own American CEOs kissing the feet of America's enemies. But now people are actually waffling in our presence again, because America must be the top influencer. If we're not, then America's enemies will take over, and they did for the past 4 years.
Exactly. That's what we've seen happen. And then now let's shift over to other investigations that are happening out there. Your thoughts on the James Comey situation? I mean, it's interesting with media. They go, okay, let's cover it for 15 seconds, 15 minutes, and let's put another story to get the public opinion and the mind off of what really just happened. But you and I and many viewers understand that. So your thoughts about the Comey investigation?
He was the director of the FBI, and he's seriously trying to play stupid and pretend he doesn't know what he actually meant, calling for violence, calling to murder the president. But he's a sicko. He's such a teenage girl. This is what a teenage girl would do. They would take a picture of drawings in the sand. And I really believe that he made this little stone display himself, and he just posted it as he's so obsessed with this president. In fact, just a year ago, he fantasized over putting President Trump in a double wide trailer. It's like he wakes up in the middle of the night just fantasizing over what he can do, how he can lock up the president. It's really creepy.
Yeah, it definitely is. And we're seeing, more investigations ramp up. I know the American people want to see, especially obviously people have broken the law. It's part of what you have to do next is having justice be served. But switching over to the Golden Dome for America, I mean, we know that Israel has the Iron Dome. Now we're going to have something similar to that. And President Trump saying the best in the world. So just for our defense here in the homeland.
Yeah, I believe it. And it's long overdue. We've been having terrorists, alleged and convicted gang rapists cross our border every day under the previous administration, and the media covered that up. The media defended that, and they continue to do so. We'll probably see the same mainstream media that defended the gang rapists, where their mugshots were on the White House lawn, the same media outlets who covered up for them and treated them as victims, will probably treat President Trump as an evil fascist for wanting to protect our country with this Iron Dome.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's wild to see it, and we're glad to see President Trump back here on U.S. soil doing what he's doing, winning for the American people. There are some naysayers out there saying, well, there's not this happening or there's not that happening. And in some cases, hey, you know what? I hear where they're coming from because justice has to be served. Our country has to be saved. Your thoughts about the midterm elections in 2026?
It's been over 100 days. President Trump has already done so much for this country in day one. It's funny that when President Biden was in office for the past 4 years, the mainstream media never said, well, what has he done? Has he actually achieved anything other than fall down the steps and make our country a joke to the rest of the world? No. But of course, before President Trump even reached his 100-day mark back in office, you had the legacy media complaining, saying he wasn't doing enough, saying, well, he didn't do A, B, C, D, and E, the entire alphabet of things that he promised to do within one day, even though he did quite a lot.
It's so true. I mean, it's just wild to see. For some reason, I'm having a hard time hearing you here, so it's hard for me to respond accurately to what you're saying. But I know that you were reporting on a number of things, including how Joe Biden was an absolute joke. Let's be real, over the past 4 years. I know he's going through a lot right now, but still, it's just, as President Trump said, I mean, on that Truth Social post pretty recently, he said that the treasonous thugs that took over the auto pen, that there should be something that is serious that happens to them. That's the President of the United States saying it. I'm not saying it. Your thoughts about that?
And of course, the media is just trying to tee up a distraction. It's almost as if they're using this story. They're using President Biden's cancer as a reason, as an excuse to say, look over here. Don't look at the fact that we're the ones who helped cover up his actual fascism, his use of the auto pen, his cognitive and physical decline. We saw Jake Tapper suddenly, I saw him in this media hit the other day saying, oh, well, President Trump, he might be getting up there. He might be sick too. It was so cartoonishly pathetic. They were actually trying to use President Trump's health, which seems to be in great shape. They were using that as a distraction right after President Biden announced that he had cancer. So it's so silly. We're dealing with idiots.
It's so true. I remember when President Trump called Jake Tapper fake Tapper. I mean, it's just funny. How about Allison Cooper over there at CNN? Whatever. The point is, we're glad to have a president that still has a sense of humor, even though going through the gauntlet that he's gone through since 2015. So before I let you go, Justine, can you just share with our viewers where they can follow you, but also any advice or encouragement that you have for just we the people?
Sure thing. Head to mrc.org. I host a show every Tuesday called Woke of the Week. We are on YouTube, Rumble, we're on X. We're either at MRC TV, and on X we're also at the MRC. And just keep calling out the legacy media. That is what the Media Research Centers continues to do, particularly this week, where we're seeing our media elite, they're truly just coastal elitists and entertainers at heart. We're seeing them pat themselves on the back, pretending they've never been in the wrong. Do not let them gaslight you. Watch us instead. Don't watch Jake Tapper.
That's right, exactly. Conservative media is definitely greater than mainstream media any day of the week, and the majority of the country agrees with that because we're on the same team that they voted for, President Donald J. Trump and that great cabinet. Justine Brooke Murray with MRC, thanks again for this live interview.
Great to be back.
Definitely. All right, so almost the top of the hour here. It's 11:57 on the East Coast, 3 minutes from the top of the hour. Of course, President Trump meeting the South African president here shortly. Looking forward to seeing the two leaders meet. As soon as we see the two leaders there, we'll go there live. And then later, when they're inside the Oval Office, we'll go to that in its entirety as well. Sometimes it is a live feed, sometimes it's a playback, but whatever it is, we'll bring it to you as soon as we get it right here on RSBN. So thanks again for streaming in with us. Colonial Metals Group is one of our other great sponsors. So freegoldguide.com/RSBN. So you get a free info kit in the mail all about gold, silver, tax sheltered IRA, 401k, backed in gold and silver. Also, it's 100% tax free. So while China's trying to buy up farmland and other countries are trying to use their own currencies instead of our dollar and all this financial headaches going on, maybe in the global scene, what we see is President Trump working on that with the trade deals and the tariffs and Maganomics, but still having that gold and silver as a backup plan with your retirement or your savings, always a good plan. So freegoldguide.com/RSBN as it's 11:58, Wednesday, May 21st. Let's go to AMAC right now. Also, a great sponsor here at the network, Save Money, Save America. You've stood in the rain at the rallies, RSBN viewers, waved the flag, prayed for this country, and now you're asking, what more can I do to save America? Well, here's your answer. You can join AMAC, the organization for conservative Americans over 50 who haven't given up on faith, freedom, and the Constitution. So as you know, President Trump back in the White House, fighting hard, taking on China with strong tariffs, cleaning up the corruption in Washington, D.C., and bringing Christianity back to the center of our culture. But let's be real, he can't do it alone. So AMAC is stepping up to lead the fight, and just for $16 a year, you'll get a subscription to the AMAC magazine, exclusive money-saving discounts, and most importantly, you'll become part of a patriotic community that's making a real difference. So go to the website there, amac.us/RSBN. And you can become a member for as low as $12 a year. Great company there, great sponsor here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, so we're going to see the president again here in just a bit outside of the West Wing of the White House there as he greets the South African leader. His name, of course, is Cyril Ramaphosa. They will meet in a few minutes, and then they'll go and talk more inside the Oval Office for that bilateral meeting. We'll bring that to you as we get it. The two leaders, what I've seen is they'll be discussing trade and foreign policy, along with any other topics that pop up. Just like I mentioned earlier, President Trump in recent weeks has spoken about the white farmers in South Africa who in some cases were getting killed or assaulted or their land being confiscated in parts of the country there. So President Trump spoke about that on Truth Social and on camera as well. So we'll see how or when or when he'll bring that up here in this Oval Office meeting. But outside of that, definitely talking about trade and foreign policy as well. Again, following a number of stories out there, anything from the James Comey investigation to the Virginia Democratic Congressman Jerry Connolly, who has passed away after a battle with cancer. He was 75 years old. He served in Nova, so Northern Virginia, District 11, passing away. The family announcing that via the press release on the congressman's website earlier today. So that is news we're following as well. The Golden Dome for America, as you guys may have seen just a few minutes ago, that video from the White House, quite awesome to see it. As our military continues to strengthen And again, President Trump, peace through strength, saying, hey, this is what he said at the Commander-in-Chief ball on January 20th, 2025. He said, I want to have such a huge, strong army or military that wouldn't it be great that it'd be so strong we just wouldn't even have to use it. Just because you're that strong, it's just you don't even have to use it. Now, we do know that there have been surgical strikes against the Houthis. We know that the other day, the White House put out a video about some jihadis that were surgically struck. I mean, it was video. You see it right there from the sky. And that was posted by the White House. So there are times, of course, for military force. But there are times that we see down on the southern border where there's a lot of military presence there, closing that border down, making sure no one comes across the border. Also out there on the seas, we see the Navy, we see the U.S. Coast Guard doing the best they can to stop and intercept any illegal alien vessels, whether it's illegal immigrants trying to come across through the waterways or narcotics. I saw a post recently from Homeland Security and also ICE capturing, I believe it was $890,000 or $890 million of cocaine. I believe it's on the first part there. I can go to that right now on the fly. Being transparent with you, I'm not going to say which one it is until I get the specific number here, but I did see it earlier that they got a sizable amount of cocaine off of coming into our country. I do believe it was $890,000 of cocaine. So that is just a drop in the bucket compared to what we've seen over the past few months, where there were, I believe, it was about $5 billion worth of narcotics in a bunch of different stops that the Coast Guard and the Navy and also Customs and Border Protection, kind of a tandem, a team there just really taking care of business for our country. So thank you to all of our military service members out there. All right, so we're seeing from the DoD Rapid Response about 17 minutes ago, DoD Rapid Response saying, if you cross into the national defense area, the U.S. military will greet you. You will be charged to the fullest extent of the law. So apparently there's a spot in Texas, and I don't know if it's expanded yet, but that it's called a national defense area. A lot of signs going up there. That's where a lot of maybe indirectly, it seems as if a base is there. Let's go to President Trump right now in Washington.
President Trump, how are you feeling, sir, about your big, beautiful bill today?
Very well. We're doing very well. It's very close.
How was your meeting with the Pope's brother yesterday?
Great. Fantastic guy. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's not every day that the president will actually answer the questions from that stakeout location right outside of the West Wing there, but he did there and answered questions about the big, beautiful bill and other questions there. So as soon as we get the Oval Office access, we'll bring that to you live or quickly on playback as soon as we get the feed. Again, we are on the, I think cutting edge isn't the right way to say it, but maybe we can. We definitely get, as soon as we see the feed, we have our crew here at the studio monitoring, the different screens. And when there's a live feed that pops up, they'll throw to it right here on the network. So it's a very, as they say, a fluid situation. So it's live, right? RSBN live. And so as soon as we see that, we'll go and see the president and the South African president inside the Oval Office. On this Wednesday, May 21st. In other news, the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, he's been getting some highlights out there, right? Some sound bites of greatness coming from the Secretary of State. If you have watched anything on social media as of late. He's also in the middle of a testifying in front of the House Foreign Affairs Committee on how he's delivering on President Trump's vision of an America First State Department. So what we can do is, if that's still going on live, we may be able to toss to that, or even if it's a little bit on replay, this is happening within the hour. Director, as we get ready, maybe we can go to that here in just a minute. Here are the 20 reasons why Congress must unite behind the one big, beautiful bill. Now, this is something we talked about yesterday, both Robert McNeely and myself, and also Robert talking about the Take It Down Act as well, with First Lady Melania Trump doing great with that act. But also, we see here the 20 reasons why Congress must unite behind the one big, beautiful bill. You can actually go to whitehouse.gov and check it out there. I also posted it on my Truth Social at Matthew Alvarez. Let's go to a sponsor before we get ready to go to the Secretary of State as we await the Oval Office feed from Washington, D.C. allfamilypharmacy.com. allfamilypharmacy.com. President Trump, of course, recently signed a powerful EO to lower prescription drug prices across the country. It's a major step in the right direction for a fight for affordable health care. But while that system drags its feet slightly, one pharmacy, of course, isn't waiting. And they've been there for a minute, and they're going to be there into the future. This is a great company right here. When you're looking for all sorts of medications, it's pretty simple to go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. And it's also simple to save 20% by using the RSBN 20 code. You can order in bulk. Ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, methylene blue, other essential medications. They also have antibiotics. So it's a great company, as you can see. You can see that you can save 20% off everything site-wide. No insurance needed. The company works with licensed doctors in all 50 states, and your prescriptions are shipped fast and directly to your door. So you see the website right there, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Speaking of good companies, that's a good one. Let's go to another good one, mybrightcore.com. Mybrightcore.com, kimchi, a probiotic that really helps with gut health. As you see, their immune support, anti-aging properties, 888-722-0936. mybrightcore.com/RSBN. You get 25% off by going to that website. You can also get up to 50% off if you actually call them, 888-722-0936. Making America Healthy Again. The owner, the founder, Kim Bright, absolutely, obviously loves the product she's selling because it works, but also loves Make America Great Again and Make America Healthy Again. A big fan of President Trump and RFK Jr. That's more of a side note on a personal matter, but professionally and business-wise, selling a great product there. mybrightcore.com/RSBN. All right, it's 12:09, Wednesday, May 21st. So the President of the United States and the President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, is there inside the West Wing, inside the Oval Office. And when we get that feed, we will go there live. In the meantime, let's take a commercial break. I'm Matthew Alvarez. We'll be right back here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
You've heard how hard it can be to get access to medications like ivermectin, all the things they don't want you to take because they're actually effective and they don't cost all that much, right? You've seen that one before. So it's critical to have something like that on hand for any emergency and to be prepared in a time of crisis. And that's why I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy. They're cutting through the nonsense and they make it easy to get hard to find medications when you need them most. They'll provide the prescription, no hoops to jump through, no waiting room, no hassle, and they deliver it right to your door. All Family Pharma even lets you order in bulk so you can stay ahead of the curve. Head over to allfamilypharmacy.com for 10% off your first order. Again, allfamilypharmacy.com. It's simple. Get the 10% savings. Be prepared.
I'm Elmer Heinrich, the 91-year-old formulator of Immuno 150, an incredible nutritional supplement. There's nothing like it. Now, Immuno 150 is different because it contains 70 plant-derived minerals and 80 other nutrients. Dr. Linus Pauling, known for vitamin C, was instrumental in convincing me to get into the mineral business in 1983. He said the world is sick due to a lack of minerals in topsoil. He said the body needs 60 minerals, but the average food and supplement has no more than 12. That's the reason for Immuno 150. Since its inception, it has had a powerful impact on the lives of thousands of people who could not get any help from various supplements they took or their doctor. Now I suggest you try Immuno 150 and see what 70 minerals, CoQ10, and 80 nutrients can do for you. Look at the 2 videos on our website. Millions have. Now consider placing an order for Immuno 150 online or call our toll-free number. I know you'll be glad you did.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. Thanks again for streaming in with us. You see the vehicle of the President of South Africa, who just greeted the President of the United States right outside that West Wing door. And now they are in the Oval Office, and the media will be going in there as well, and we'll have that live coverage for you. Any words that are exchanged there by both leaders, and then that mini press conference that always happens right after we get that access to the inside there. In the meantime, the Department of Homeland Security had a press conference earlier this morning. It's about 11 minutes long, so let's go to that now, and then as we await for the Oval Office, we will definitely shift right back over to the Oval Office if it's even in the middle of this DHS presser. But let's go to the Department of Homeland Security right now.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming on last minute's notice. I'm Tricia McLaughlin. I'm the Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs at the Department of Homeland Security. I'm joined by Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons and Madison Sheehan, the Deputy Director. Thank you for joining us to address a diplomatic and military security operation that was conducted yesterday by the U.S. government. We conducted a deportation flight from Texas to remove some of the most barbaric, violent individuals illegally in the United States. No country on earth wanted to accept them because their crimes are so uniquely monstrous and barbaric. These heinous individuals have terrorized American streets for too long. Every single one of them was convicted of a heinous crime: murder, rape, child rape, rape of a mentally and physically handicapped victim. Thanks to the courageous work of the State Department and ICE and the President's National Security Team, we found a nation that was willing to accept custody of these vicious illegal aliens. We are removing these convicted criminals from American soil so they can never hurt another American victim, American man, child, or woman. They can never attack witnesses, families, victims, or anyone else. Now, a local judge in Massachusetts is trying to force the United States to bring back these uniquely barbaric monsters who present a clear and present threat to the safety of the American people and American victims. While we are fully compliant with the law and court orders, it is absolutely absurd for a district judge to try to dictate the foreign policy and national security of the United States of America. These are the monsters that the district judge is trying to protect. The contrast is brutally stark. President Trump and Secretary Noem are working every single day to get these vicious criminals off of American streets. And while activist judges are on the other side fighting to get them back onto United States soil. Before I turn it over to Acting Director Todd Lyons, I would like to remind the journalists in this very room to do your job. We gave you the names of these monsters as you have right in front of you. Now tell the stories of the innocent Americans who they victimized. I implore you to stop doing the bidding of these disgusting individuals. Tell the stories of the innocents. It's the American victims who actually matter. Todd.
Good morning, thank you. So these individuals that are up here today, these represent the true national security threats and public safety threats that ICE officers and agents nationwide go after. I just want to go over a few of the highlighted cases that you all have in front of you. So, for instance, we have an individual that's convicted of homicide and armed robbery and served 15 years in confinement. Due to countries that won't take their citizens back, this individual was released back into the community under ICE supervision to prey upon people again. Another individual sentenced to life in confinement, convicted of first-degree murder, his country would not take him back, forcing ICE to have to re-release him back into the community to re-offend. As Tricia highlighted before, we have an individual that raped and sexually assaulted a mentally handicapped victim. Because his country would not take him back, ICE had to find a third country to take him back so we can remove this public safety threat. You know, as a career law enforcement officer and a career officer with ICE, I've been dealing with these recalcitrant countries for years, having to see repeated murderers, sex offenders, violent criminals re-released back into the United States because their home countries would not take them back. Yet under President Trump and under the leadership of Secretary Noem, we are now able to remove these public safety threats so they won't pry on the community anymore and they won't have any more victims in the United States. With that, I'll turn it over to my Deputy Director of Medicine, Sheehan.
First of all, ICE would like to thank President Trump and Secretary Noem for their steadfast commitment to the American people and the men and women of ICE. Our commitment here at ICE remains the same, that we will remove the worst of the worst from your communities, including the list of people that are up on this board. As we work every day to make the American people safer, we see activist judges stepping in a way that we have never seen before to put criminals first and not the American people. This judge wants these criminals, these rapists, murderers, out on the streets in your communities. ICE will not let that happen and will continue to fight and put the American people first as the mandate President Trump received to make sure that we keep America safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Madison. And with that, we'll take just a few questions. Say your name and outlet, Ted.
Ted Hessen.
Thank you very much, everyone. It's a great honor to be with the President of South Africa, President Ramaphosa, and he is a man who is certainly in some circles really respected, other circles a little bit less respected, like all of us, in all fairness, like all of us.
We all like that.
We also have a few of my friends. Ernie Els, a great golfer. He's a truly great golfer. And Retief Goosen, who's another really, we call him really a great golfer too, Ernie, right? You two guys are fantastic. And we could add Gary to the group, Gary Player. What a group of golfers South Africa's had.
Yes, yes.
There must be something in the water, right? It's something good. These two guys are unbelievable.
It's the water set.
Yeah, Gary's Gary. And David Frost, also another one that I know is such a great one.
Indeed.
Was he as good a putter as they say, David? He's a putter. He's a putting machine, right?
Absolutely.
But he's another one. So something very good about South Africa in golf, and golf is still doing great in South Africa. And they have young players, I hear, coming up that are going to be very good. But it's an honor to have you here, and my friend, it's an honor to have you, one of the greatest businessmen in South Africa and long beyond. Thank you for being here. It's very, very great honor. Appreciate it. So we're going to be discussing certain things. As you know, we have the G20 is going to South Africa. When is that going to be?
In November.
In November.
And thereafter, I hand over to you. And
yes, we have it next.
You originated the G20, so I'll hand over the baton to you, and then you lead the G20
we're
in the world.
We're going to have it the following year.
Yeah.
So we'll be discussing many things, and some of the things you've been reading about in the papers and the media. And I would say that, look, the president is a truly respected man in many, many circles, and in some circles he's considered a little controversial. But we're going to be discussing some of the things that are taking place in South Africa and see if we can help. And we want to help. And we've had a long relationship with South Africa. I have, because indirectly I have so many friends that live there. I have a lot of friends. I mean, these are famous guys, but I have a lot of friends that live there that are tremendous people. And we'll be discussing that. We'll have a nice conversation. And I really appreciate that you guys came along. It really helps us in our thought process. But it is a great honor to have you, and I appreciate you called. He called. I don't know where he got my number, but I picked up. He said, I want to come over and see you. And that was my honor, and thank you very much for being here.
You're most welcome.
Thank
most
you very
welcome.
much.
Well, thank you very much for welcoming us to this reformed White House. I've been here before, and it looks really fantastic. I must congratulate you.
Thank you.
But I also thank you for allowing our delegation. This is a very mixed delegation that you've got. We've got people from government, my ministers. I've got someone from the trade union movement who we really collaborate with, and from business as well, and our sporting legends. When I spoke to you, you said, yes, come along and bring Gary Player, bring Eddie Els and Retief Goosen. I've brought the two of them. Gary Player, I spoke to him, and he said, look, I'm getting rather on in my years, but wishes us luck in this discussion with you. So it's a real joy, and I'd also like to thank you for allowing your people to start discussions with us at the trade level. I mean, we are essentially here to reset the relationship between the United States and South Africa. We are long-standing partners in many, many ways. We've collaborated in many fields, in space issues, in energy, and in trade, and we therefore need to reset that, particularly in the light of some of the announcements that you made on trade and investment. So we want to advance more trade between the two of us, two countries, and our people now have been empowered by yourself and by myself to start engaging, and we hope that we will be able to fuel that engagement during our talks. And we also want to discuss issues that have to do with how we promote further investments in both countries. We've got about 22 companies from South Africa that have invested in the US, thus creating a number of jobs. And similarly, you've got almost 600 companies that have invested in South Africa, and some of them have been in South Africa for more than 100 years.
That's true.
So our links are really long-lasting, and we would like to recalibrate those relations between our two countries and discuss a whole range of issues, geopolitical, the work that you're doing to bring peace around the world, in Ukraine and in the Middle East. So we value that, and we are also a great contributor to peace processes that are going on around the world. And of course, we want to discuss how we can support each other. You are a much bigger economy than we are. We're just a tiny economy, but we rely on each other on a number of issues. We've got critical minerals that you want to fuel the growth of your own economy and reindustrialize. So we have that on offer, including rare earth minerals. So all that combination of opportunity and the products that we buy from you, as well as what we sell to you, I believe makes up a really good and powerful relationship, which we need to strengthen, which we need to engender. And that is really what has brought us here. And we are really privileged to have great South Africans in the mix. As you said, you'd like to see them as well. And I brought you a really fantastic golf book. Weighs 14 kilograms.
Oh, that sounds good.
And it showcases the golf courses in our country. Johan Rupert wrote preface, so did Annie Els. And I want to showcase our golf courses. You might remember when I spoke to you and we spoke about golf, you said I should start practicing. And I've started practicing, President, so I'm ready. But let me end just the introductory remarks by thanking you. You may not recall that 5 years ago I spoke to you during the COVID period.
Right.
And it was at a time when the whole world was going through a really cathartic moment.
Right.
And we asked for assistance, and you were able to assist us with respirators, and you kept to your word, and you delivered respirators to us. we didn't have as many in our country, and it really helped to help us deal with COVID. So I'm here also to say thank you and to thank the people of America for having helped us during a really difficult time. Being the small economy that we are, we needed help from around the world. And you were there to provide that. So thank you very much.
I remember the call.
Yeah.
We sent 150 respirators. We became the respirator king. We started making them. Nobody had them. We had very few of them.
That's right.
But they were very helpful. But we sent 150, and I appreciated the letter. You wrote me a letter.
That's right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
I appreciate that very much.
Thank you very much for that. It really touched my heart after I spoke to you, and you delivered. So,
great honor.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Any questions, please?
Mr. President, we welcome white Afrikaner refugees here. Can you explain to Americans why it's appropriate to welcome white Afrikaners here when other refugees like Afghans, Venezuelans, Haitians have all had their protected status revoked?
Well, this is a group, NBC, that is truly fake news. They ask a lot of questions in a very pointed way. They're not questions, they're statements. We've had tremendous complaints about Africa, about other countries too, from people. They say there's a lot of bad things going on in Africa, and that's what we're going to be discussing today. When you say we don't take others, all you have to do is take a look at the southern border. We let 21 million people come through our border, totally unchecked, totally unvetted. They came from all over the world. In many cases, they're criminals. They come from prisons. They come from mental institutions. They come from street gangs. They're drug dealers. So don't say that we didn't take them. We take them. We're trying to get them out as fast as we can. And we're doing record business on that. And we just won a big case where we're allowed to send back hundreds of criminals to Venezuela. Just won that today in the Supreme Court. I'm happy to hear. But we do have a lot of people are very concerned with regard to South Africa, and that's really the purpose of the meeting, and we'll see how that turns out. But we have many people that feel they're being persecuted, and they're coming to the United States. So we take from many locations if we feel there's persecution or genocide going on. And we had a lot of people. I must tell you, Mr. President, we have had a tremendous number of people, especially since they've seen this. Generally, they're white farmers, and they're fleeing South Africa, and it's a very sad thing to see. But I hope we can have an explanation of that, because I know you don't want that. It's a kind of a different meeting. Normally we have meetings, we talk about trade, and we'll be talking about trade and other things. But that certainly will be a subject that comes up. Yeah. Yes, please. Brian?
Thank you very much. I'd like to get your thoughts on Letitia James. Director Polte, according to him, Letitia James says that the alleged mortgage fraud was simply a mistake. I want to get your thoughts on that. She put down that her father was her husband in order, and this is very similar to, I guess, the false attacks they have on here.
Well, I don't know what it is currently, but Letitia James, who's the Attorney General of New York State, it seemed, I'm not involved in that at all. I know that it's being handled by various groups, I guess, but it's major fraud, mortgage documents, and fraudulent everything. Yeah, I think she said the father was her husband, which she had to have a husband, so she chose her father, and she put it down, and she had didn't she sign in Virginia, yet she said she lived in Virginia, yet she's the New York State Attorney General, and she did that for tax reasons, so she could take advantage of taxes. And she had the wrong number of units. She had a much different number, which wouldn't have allowed her to qualify and scam the government. So I don't know. I think she's very bad for New York, but I really don't know too much about it, but I appreciate the question. Yes, thank you very much. Yes.
Mr. President, for you to be convinced that there's no genocide.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. So May 25th will be the celebration of Africa Day, which pretty much a lot of celebration will be taking place around the world, including here in the United States. What is your message to the entire African continent, African people in this important occasion?
Well, I want to see peace, and I want to see happiness. I want to see health, and you have incredible land. There's tremendous value. A lot of countries don't have that value in the land, the value you have. You know, we have a situation, I think you probably heard about it. We've done through some very talented people, helped settle a war that's been raging for years, Rwanda and the Congo. And I think we've done it. Believe it or not, I think we've done it. And could you just say a few words about that, my friend?
Yes. A couple of weeks ago, they signed, the two parties signed a declaration of principle in which they agreed on the way forward. And they have both submitted draft peace agreements, and we have put together one that incorporates both of their suggestions, and we've given it to them. So we're in the process of finalizing
Looking
this.
good, right?
Looking very good.
No, we have to thank you for even those efforts, because the African continent, particularly SADC, our Southern African Development Community, has for years been seeking to foster peace in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So all efforts, including those from outside the continent and inside the continent, are really worthwhile. We are removing our troops from there so that peace can then prevail in that whole area. And we hope that with the support of the international community, we will really have peace in that area. It's so vital, it's so important for the whole region.
Well, we sent our people there, and I think we did a very good job, as headed by my friend, and that was great. That was great. I mean, I'm just hearing phenomenal reports, because all I'm hearing is death, and they're chopping heads off, and it's horrible over there. And it was really brave of you to go there, and I really appreciate it. And it looks like we have something very, very substantial. We also talked about trade with them in terms of rare earth and all, but really more for it's like, if you take a look at what we just did with Pakistan and India, we settled that whole thing, and I think I settled it through trade. We're doing a big deal with India, we're doing a big deal with Pakistan, and they say, what are you guys doing? You know, somebody had to be the last one to shoot. But the shooting was getting worse and worse, bigger and bigger, deeper and deeper into the countries. And we spoke to them, and I think I hate to say we got it settled, and then 2 days later, something happens, and they say it's Trump's fault. But Pakistan has got some excellent people and some really good, great leader. And India is my friend, Modi. And he's a
mutual friend.
Yeah, he's a great guy. And I called them both, and we just did something good. We're trying to settle Russia, Ukraine. We spoke with President Putin for 2.5 hours the day before yesterday. I think we made a lot of progress, but that's a bloodbath. 5,000 people are being killed a week, 5,000 soldiers a week, not including people in cities and towns that are also being killed. So we're trying to help. And it doesn't affect us. It's not our people. It's not our soldiers. It's Ukraine and it's Russia. But if we can save 5,000 souls, we'll do it. You know, we're pretty good at it. But that's a bad situation. That is a really bad situation.
Well, you'll recall when President Zelensky was coming to South Africa, that's when I spoke to you.
That's right.
We both agreed that we need to push the peace message so that there can really be peace. And we've been involved in the Ukraine-Russia conflict for quite a while through my Minister of State Security here. We've been dealing with them, the exchange of children who were taken away, going through names and addresses and all that. So we've been invested in that whole process as well. And the moves that you're making are fully supported by us, because we would like to see the end of that war.
That's true. I called Zelensky, and they said, he's in South Africa. I said, what the hell is he doing in South Africa?
He was talking to us.
We got this page. That's a strange one. I said, what are you doing in South Africa?
Yes.
That's a strange one.
He's trying to make peace. We're taking him. You know, we were lucky because we had the great Nelson Mandela, who taught us how to create peace, to make peace. So we were imparting some of those lessons to him, some of those learnings, and I specifically mentioned to him that this is how Nelson Mandela taught us that when you want to have a peace in a country, do it on an unconditional basis and sit down and talk. And that's precisely what I'm sure he's going to heed.
Well, we're going to see what happens with that one. It's there's a lot of hatred. There's a lot of death. It's a bloodbath.
It is.
I get the
unfortunately.
I get the satellite pictures of that field, of that killing field. You never saw anything like it in your life. It's horrible. It's a horrible thing that goes on, but I think we've made big progress. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President.
No, not you. Right here. He's from South Africa. Go ahead, please.
What are you expecting on the ICJ case? Are you expecting South Africa to drop that? Is that what you're trying to do?
On which case?
The ICJ
the International Criminal Justice.
I don't expect anything, to be honest. I really don't. I don't know. It's they've got a case. There's a lot of anger there, tremendous anger. I don't expect anything. We'll see what happens. We'll have a ruling, and who knows what the ruling is going to mean. Yeah.
On that subject of Gaza, Mr. President, are you going to be speaking to Prime Minister Netanyahu about Israel's renewed offensive there? There's been a lot of concern from European countries. The Pope has expressed concern. Are you going to be asking Prime Minister Netanyahu to tone down the offensive in Gaza to let more aid in?
Was that a question or a statement?
It's a question.
This guy's, you never change.
Mr. President, this time, what would it take for you to be convinced that there's no white genocide in South Africa?
Well, I can answer that for President. It's for him. No, seriously.
I'd rather have him answer.
Yeah, I'd rather answer that. It will be.
Our president will respond to you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mr. President.
It will take President Trump listening to the voices of South Africans, some of whom are his good friends, like those who are here. When we have talks between us on the quiet table, it will take President Trump to listen to them. I'm not going to be repeating what I've been saying. I would say if there was Afrikaner farmer genocide, I can bet you these three gentlemen would not be here, including my Minister of Agriculture. He would not be with me. So it'll take him, President Trump, listening to their stories, to their perspective. That is the answer to your question.
But, Mr. President, I must say that we have, wait. We have thousands of stories talking about it. Sure. And we have documentaries, we have news stories. And that, is Natalie here, somebody here to turn that? I could show you a couple of things. And it has to be responded to.
Yeah, sure.
Let me see the articles, please, if you would. And turn the lights down. Turn the lights down and just put this on. It's right behind you, Johan.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. Yeah. South Africa occupy land. That's who we are. Can withdraw my membership from this useless parliament.
Yes, honorable member.
Must never be scared to kill. A revolution demands that at some point there must be killing, because the killing is part of a revolutionary act. Shoot to kill the mother, kill the poor, the farmer, kill the poor, the farmer,
The mayor of DA in PE is a white man. So these people, when you want to hit them hard, go after a white man. They feel a terrible pain because you have touched a white man. Not because Mashaba and Suri will not be touched. They will be touched, no one. But we are starting with this whiteness. We are cutting the throat of whiteness.
Shoot! kid, Yamasa, kill the brewer, the farmer, kill the brewer, the farmer, pa, 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 shoot to kill, Yamasa, kill the brewer, the farmer, kill the brewer, the farmer, pa,
I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I'm saying to you, was not called for the killing of white people, at least for now. I can't guarantee the future. Yeah, but I mean, do you understand somebody watching that, especially as it gets shared on Twitter, they freak out. It sounds like a genocide over there. I can't take it.
Who will expropriate land without compensation, whether they like it or not. If they object, they can seek refugee in America.
Now this is very bad. These are burial sites right here. Burial sites. Over 1,000 of white farmers, and those cars are lined up to pay love on a Sunday morning. Each one of those white things you see is a cross, and there's approximately 1,000 of them. They're all white farmers, the family of white farmers. And those cars aren't driving, they're stopped there to pay respects to their family member who was killed. And it's a terrible sight. I've never seen anything like it. Both sides of the road you have crosses. Those people were all killed.
Have they told you where that is, Mr. President? No, I'd like to know where that is, because this I've never seen. But okay.
I mean, it's in South Africa. That's where.
We need to find out.
Mr. President, the Pentagon announced that it would be accepting a Qatari jet to be used as Air Force One.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You know, you to get out of here. What does this have to do with the Qatari jet? They're giving the United States Air Force a jet, okay? And it's a great thing. We're talking about a lot of other things. It's NBC trying to get off the subject of what you just saw. You are a real, you're a terrible reporter. Number one, you don't have what it takes to be a reporter. You're not smart enough. But for you to go into a subject about a jet that was given to the United States Air Force, which is a very nice thing, they also gave $5.1 trillion worth of investment in addition to the jet. Go back, you ought to go back to your studio at NBC, because Brian Roberts and the people that run that place, they ought to be investigated. They are so terrible the way you run that network, and you're a disgrace. No more questions from you. Go ahead. Go ahead, talk about that. His name is Peter something. He's a terrible reporter. Quiet.
That's my question now.
Let's go.
Thank you so much. President Trump, Anna Disaster from ENCA in South Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
What would you like President Ramaphosa to do about the situation that we've just seen on the screen?
I don't know. Look, these are articles over the last few days. Death of people, death, 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 horrible death, death. I don't know. To pick anyone, white South Africans are fleeing because of the violence and racist laws, and this is all. I mean, I'll give these to you. So when you say, what would I like to do? I don't know what to do. Look at this. White South African couple say that they were attacked violently. And,
President Trump, when will you go and see for yourself if it is?
well, I could do that. Look, here's burial sites all over the place. These are all white farmers that are being buried. And he asks about a jet that was given. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You know, you are so bad. You're such a bad reporter. This is one after another. This family was wiped out. I'm just looking.
Can we get a report from President Ramaphosa?
Your reaction to those videos, Mr. President?
Well, I think the videos are so. No. When you look at the videos, I mean, how does it get worse? And these are people that are officials, and they're saying that kill the white farmer and take their land. That's what. And I have other friends in South Africa. I have people that left. One in particular that says you can't go there. He said they want to take your land. They take your land and they kill you. It's okay, and they say it's okay to do. Now we're going to talk about it. But this is a tremendous look. This is a story recent. Yeah. These are all people that recently got killed. Yeah. And I don't know how it can get any worse. These are and you know, the men that you saw, the people that you saw in that movie, those are officials. Those are people that were in office. They had one march. They had a dance in your parliament, whatever you may call it, legislature.
Well, let me clarify that.
Yeah,
let me clarify that, because what you saw, the speeches that were being made, one, that is not government policy. We have a multi-party democracy in South Africa that allows people to express themselves, political parties to adhere to various policies, and in many cases, or in some cases, those policies do not go along with government policy. Our government policy is completely against what he was saying, even in the parliament. And they're a small minority party, which is allowed to exist in terms of our constitution.
But you do allow them to take land.
No.
You do allow them to take land.
Nobody can take land.
And then when they take the land, they kill the white farmer. And when they kill the white farmer, nothing happens to them.
No. There is
nothing happens to them.
There is criminality in our country. People who do get killed, unfortunately through criminal activity, are not only white people. Majority of them are black people. And we have now been utilizing.
The farmers are not black. I don't say that's good or bad, but the farmers are not black. And the people that are being killed in large numbers, and you saw all those grave sites, and those are people that loved ones going, I guess on a Sunday morning, they told me, to pay respect to their loved ones that were killed. Their heads chopped off. They died violently. And you know, I mean, we're here to talk about it, and I didn't know we'd get involved here. But I will say this, that if the news wasn't fake, like NBC, which is fake news, totally, one of the worst, ABC, NBC, CBS, horrible. But if they weren't fake news like this jerk that we have here, if we had real reporters, they'd be covering it. But the fake news in this country doesn't talk about that. They don't want to talk about it, but now they have to talk about it. But they won't. This won't even be a subject. They'll have him talking about why did a country give a free, think of this, why did a country give an airplane to the United States Air Force? Okay? The United States, not to me, to the United States Air Force, so they could help us out, because we need an Air Force One until that's Air Force One, it's being built. 2 of them being built. But Boeing's a little bit late, unfortunately. So why did they give us a plane to the United States Air Force? That's what that idiot talks about after viewing a thing where thousands of people are dead.
I'm sorry, I don't have a plane to give you.
I wish you did. I take it. I would take it. If your country offered the United States Air Force a plane, I would take it.
Okay. But coming back to this issue, which I really would like us to talk about, and talk about it very calmly. We were taught by Nelson Mandela that whenever there are problems, people need to sit down around a table and talk about them.
Well, there are problems.
And this is precisely what we would also like to talk about, including, of course, trade matters, investment matters. So the issues that concern you as the United States,
those are all recent. Those are all deaths.
Yeah, in many ways, I mean, one should say you are a partner of South Africa, and you are raising concerns, and these are concerns that we are willing to talk to you about. Let me just add quickly, you know, the criminality that we are experiencing in our country needs quite a lot of technological capability. And in one of our areas in South Africa, we're using US technology, which is able to, in many ways, identify where shootings are happening and all that. And I'd like to talk about that because there is support that we can get from you as the United States to help us deal with all these acts of criminality. And that is what I believe partnership is all about. And we are here as a partner so that we can help each other whenever there are challenges. So I'd like us to discuss it, and of course outside of the media, so that we sit down and have a really good discussion that will lead to good outcomes.
Are there any other further punitive measures that could be in place should you not be satisfied that South Africa is fixing some of the very bad things, in inverted commas, that you tweeted are happening?
Well, there are a lot of bad things happening in many countries, but this in particular has been very, very bad, very bad. And because of we're going to have the whole world watching in another short period of time because you have the G20, and that's a big deal. And it seems like, I mean, I want you to look good. I don't want you to look bad.
Very good.
But we have hundreds of people, thousands of people trying to come into our country because they feel they're going to be killed and their land is going to be confiscated. And you do have laws that were passed that gives you the right to confiscate land for no payment. You can take away land for no payment.
I want to clarify that because we have a constitution. Our constitution guarantees and protects the sanctity of tenure of land ownership. And that constitution protects all South Africans with regard to land ownership. However, we do say, because we've got to deal with the past, the government, and as your government also has the right to expropriate land for public use.
And you're doing that.
And we've never really gotten underway with that. And we are going to be doing so.
You're taking people's land away
we have not.
from them. And those people, in many cases, are being executed.
Yeah.
They're being executed. And they happen to be white, and most of them happen to be farmers. Mm-hmm. And that's a tough situation. I don't know how you explain that. How do you explain that? They're taking people's land away, and in many cases those people are being executed, and in many cases it's not the government that's doing it, it's people that kill them and then take their land, and nothing happens to them. But we have thousands of people that want to come into our country. They're also going to Australia in a smaller number. But we have thousands of people that want to come into our country, and they're white farmers, and they feel that they're going to die in South Africa, and it's a bad thing. Yeah, please.
What can South Africa do? What concessions would you like to see them make to improve relations with the United States? Then I have one more for President Ramaphosa afterwards.
Well, we just spoke about it. I got them a very, very complex machine, 150 of them. And I was asked by the president if it could help, and I did that. And, I have great feeling for all countries. I deal with all countries, but I have a great feeling for South Africa because I have friends. I have a couple of friends, a few friends here today. I have many friends from South Africa, but many of those friends are not, they can't go back. I have Elon is from South Africa. I don't want to get Elon involved. That's all I have to do, get him into another thing. But Elon happens to be from South Africa. This is what Elon wanted. He actually came here on a different subject, sending rockets to Mars, okay? Yes. He likes that better. He likes that subject better. That's right. But Elon is from South Africa, and I don't want to talk to him about that. I don't think it's fair to him.
That's right.
But I will say that people are fleeing South Africa for their own safety. Their land is being confiscated, and in many cases they're being killed. And that scene of, you see how many crosses they have. Those crosses, that's a dead person in every one of them. And those trucks or cars are paying their respects to all of those dead people on a Sunday morning. That's a rough thing to explain away. And the problem we have, and the way, you know, a correct and a fair media exposes things. But we have a very corrupt media. They won't even report this. If this were the other way around, it would be the biggest story. Now, I will say apartheid, terrible. That was the biggest story. That was reported all the time. This is sort of the opposite of apartheid. What's happening now is never reported. Nobody knows about it. All we know is we're being inundated with people, with white farmers from South Africa, and it's a big problem. Marco Rubio was telling me he's never seen anything like it. The numbers of people that want to leave South Africa because they feel they're going to be dead very soon. Yes, please.
I was going to say,
Brian, go.
If I could just ask you a question. 72% of farmers in your country are white. If they flee, do you feel that maybe the economy could collapse? You may not have a gap to fill in those people that need to replace those farmers.
You know, I'd like my Minister of Agriculture, who is white, who comes from an opposition party to mine, who's joined my government at my invitation to address this very issue, including the question that you've just raised. John?
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Mr. President, thank you for welcoming us to the White House. I would say we have a rural safety problem in South Africa. I don't think anyone wants to candy coat that. And it requires a lot of effort to get on top of it. It's going to require more policing resources. It's going to require a different strategy to be able to deal with it. But certainly the majority of South Africa's commercial and smallholder farmers really do want to stay in South Africa and make it work. And I've just come from the largest agricultural show in the Southern Hemisphere with organized agriculture and farmers, and the majority of them want to stay. But they too there have a memorial to those who've died as a result of farm attacks. And as the Minister of Agriculture, it is something that I'm particularly exercised with my colleagues at police and my colleagues in the justice cluster to start making farm attacks and stock theft a priority crime. And it affects all farmers in South Africa, particularly stock theft. It has a disproportionate effect on smallholder black farmers. I also want to just say this, that the two individuals that are in that video that you've seen are both leaders of opposition minority parties in South Africa. Mkhonto Wesizwe under Mr. Zuma and the economic freedom fighters under Mr. Malema. Now the reason that my party, the Democratic Alliance, which has been an opposition party for over 30 years, chose to join hands with Mr. Ramaphosa's party was precisely to keep those people out of power. We cannot have those people sitting in the union buildings making decisions. And that is why after 30 years of us exchanging barbs across the floor in Parliament and trying to get one over on each other, we've decided to join hands precisely to keep that lot out of government. Because the day they get in to the doors of the union buildings in South Africa or control of our Parliament, that's what you're going to see. And that is why this government, working together, needs the support of our allies around the world so that we can strengthen our hand, grow our economy, and shut the door forever on that rabble getting through the doors of the union bodies, because then South Africa's future would be...
So you denounced that type of language in the video that you saw?
Oh yes, we've always done so. As government, as my own party, we are completely opposed to that. We, in 1955, adopted a document which said South Africa belongs to all who live in it.
But why wouldn't you arrest that man? That man said, kill the white farmers, kill the white farmers. And then he danced, and he's dancing, and it's kill the white farmers. I think, I'm not sure, but I think if somebody got up in Parliament and started saying kill a certain group of people, he would be arrested very quickly. That man is going all over South Africa, and that's not a small party. That was a stadium that holds 100,000 people, and I hardly saw an empty seat. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of representation. And those crosses, we have dead white people, dead white farmers, mostly. And you take a look at Australia, they're being inundated, and we're being inundated with people that want to get out. And their farm is valueless. It's valueless. And they just want to get out with their life. And this is a very serious situation. And if we had a real news or real press or media, we don't have that because they won't talk about this because they're all guys like that idiot. But if we had a real press, it would be exposed. And you know, the beauty of exposing it is it's like a cleansing action. When it gets exposed, it'll get fixed. That's when it'll get fixed. But people don't talk about it. And I'll tell you who's talking about the thousands of people that are fleeing South Africa right now.
We discussed USAID and the devastating impact the cuts are having across the African continent.
You know, it's devastating, and hopefully a lot of people are going to start spending a lot of money. And I've talked to other nations. We want them to chip in and spend money too. And we've spent a lot, and it's a tremendous problem going on in many countries. A lot of problems going on. The United States always gets the request for money. Nobody else helps, as you know. Europe doesn't help. Europe hasn't given anything. All they do is sue our companies. You know, they sue Apple, and they sue all of our companies. Apple had to pay $17 billion on a nonsense lawsuit. Very unfair. But we're going to always be there to help.
The Afrikaner is Sherwin Rice by South African Broadcasting. If this Afrikaner resettlement issue is resolved, you're going to go into a room after this, you guys are going to talk. If it is resolved, what is the potential for the future-looking relationships between the United States?
It's got to be resolved. It should be resolved. It's a little bit bad when you see a stadium with 100,000 people in it, because that means it's more than just a little movement. It's a pretty big movement in South Africa, so it has to be resolved. It'll be the end of the country if it's not.
But is there potential for the relationship moving forward?
I hope so. That's why I'm here. I mean, I'm not here for my health. I'm here to see what it is. No, I'd like to see. I have friends. I can tell you, Ernie Els and Retief Goosen, they feel so strongly they wanted to be here on behalf of South Africa, not on behalf of me. And, you know, they said, can we be here for this? Because they love the country. Ernie, do you guys want to say a couple of words? I hate to put you in this. This is tougher than sinking a 3-footer. And they've sank many 3-footers.
Thank you, Mr. President. And thanks for the honor of being here. We've known each other a long time. We have spoken. You know, we're proud South Africans. I still have my South African passport. You know, we travel with this passport, you know, and I got my visa here. So, you know, but we want to see things get better in our home country. That's the bottom line. It's been 35 years since the transition. President Ramaphosa was right in the middle of the transition time in 1990 and before that. So it's been 35 years of ANC government, and I know there's a lot of anger, you know, through the transition. There was also a lot of stuff happening in the apartheid days. You know, we grew up in the apartheid era, but I don't think two wrongs makes a right. You know, President Mandela, when he came out of prison for all that time, didn't come out with hatred, you know, and really unified our nation through sport. You know, we won the Rugby World Cup in '95.
4 times.
We won the African Nations Cup, soccer. You know, we won some majors as golfers and so forth. So what I'm trying to say is, you know, this has been a long time coming. That's why we really wanted to meet you, meet the administration. and see our way forward, because we still want to see our country flourish. You know, we've got some great things going on. Business is getting involved with government. Farmers are getting involved in local municipalities, trying to rebuild some of the infrastructure that's been decaying for a long time. So there's a lot of coexistence going on and help from a lot of areas. But I feel we need the US to push this thing through. We've got a great ally if we can have the US. It's always been an ally of South Africa for a very long time. Even in the days of the war, you know, up in Angola, you know, you guys helped us. So very important for us to have your support and you know, get the change we need.
Where did you do that well? He might have done that even better than he plays golf, which is almost impossible. Johan, please.
Sorry, Mr. President, if you had to wind all of those states properly, you will see I'm the biggest target of that rabble-rouser. Number one for over 10 years. Mr. Malema. In fact, the first time I met him, he was in the youth league with that gentleman. And look how he's changed.
Right.
We have too many deaths, but it's across the board. It's not only white farmers. It's across the board. And we need technological help. We need Starlink at every little police station. We need drones. I actually got drones donated for the peace parks to stop elephant and rhino poaching. And his predecessor stopped the importation because he said the United States would spy on us. I mean, US basics, the ridicule. So if you can help us. Remember, sir, you and I lived in New York in the 70s. We never thought New York could be what it became. 2 commissioners, a tough mayor. We need your help to stop this awful killing. But it's across the board. Ernie is right now building a house in George. I'm building 3 cottages for my grandchildren on a farm outside Grafrenet. I often go to bed without locking the door. And we have a serious problem with illegal aliens who stream across the border. And if you really look at our statistics, a lot of these murders, firstly it's unemployment and illegal aliens. And then I met Vice President Vance many years ago, the Charlie Rose show. My wife loved the book. And she reminded me this morning that you emphasized the devastation that occurs when big companies leave towns and cities, and there's a culture of dependency that develops. And I remember you discussing it. Now that's our problem. If we don't get our economy to grow, the culture of dependency and the lawlessness will increase. I've been against apartheid all my life, and I'm their number 1 target. Please just Google my name and Malema. You'll see it, sir. He marched on the farm.
But the crime is bad.
The crime is terrible, sir, but Mr. Steenhuisen won't admit to it, but he runs the Western Cape, where I live. And the biggest murder rate is in the Cape Flats. Gangs. We've got gang warfare, like your M33, whatever these guys. We've got equivalents there, but we need your help, sir. And we need Elon technology.
Well, one of the real areas of support is really in investments. We've got to grow our economy, because through growing the economy, we're then able to create more jobs. Because crime really thrives where there is inequality and unemployment. And that is one of the reasons that has brought us here to improve our investment relations, our trade relations, so that we can preserve the number of jobs that your companies have created in South Africa. By virtue of what we export to you, we are able to create up to 500,000 jobs in the auto industry, in the agricultural industry, and a number of other industries, mining, where we export things to you. And we also know that as South African companies invest here, you are also able to create jobs. So it's a mutually beneficial relationship. So our main real reason for being here is to foster trade and investment so that we are able to grow our economy with your support, and so that we are also able to address all these societal problems, because criminality thrives when people are unemployed, when they have no other hope to eke out a living. So that is what we need to resolve, and your support, your partnership with us is what is really going to give us a strong capability to move forward.
Ricky, excuse me, do you have anything to say? I mean, I don't want to leave you out. You know, the guy won 3 or 4 majors. 3 or 4?
No, only 2.
That's a lot. By the way, 2's a lot. A lot of tournaments you won too. Do you have anything to say?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. President Ramaphosa. I grew up in an area in South Africa that is a farmland area, Polokwane. And there is some issues up there. Obviously, my dad was a property developer as well as a part-time farmer. And yeah, some of these buddy farmers got killed. The farm is still going. My brothers run it. But it's a constant battle with farms they're trying to burn the farms down to chase you away. So it is a concern to try and make a living as a farmer. And at the end of the day, you know, without farmers, there's no food on the plate. So we need the farmers to produce the food.
Farming, right? He wouldn't even want to do what you're doing, right? They love farming. They don't want to leave. But it's a struggle.
Yeah, and you know, food and fresh water is the most important thing in life. You know, without those 2 things, you can't survive.
How is the water there?
The water is great. Obviously, all the water comes out of the borehole, out of ground for us down there. But yeah, it is a battle to get the water out sometimes when all the equipment gets stolen all the time that you're trying to get the water out.
So does your family and your brother, do they feel safe on the farm?
They live behind electric fences, you know, try and be at night safe. But it is constant whenever you leave that something could happen. And
there's nowhere to live.
You know, both of them has been attacked in their houses. My mom's been attacked in her house when she was 80. So it is difficult. But you know, the guys live a great life despite everything going on.
Something.
President Trump, I've brought along the president of the largest trade union in our country, Ziggy Solosi, because she leads many workers, more than 1 million, 2 million workers, and maybe we should give her a chance to say something, because she's come all the way to join us.
Thank you very much, Mr. President Trump, for having us, and President, for extending the invitation to us as organized labor. And I must say that we are here to support the initiative that has been made by our government with business, of course, as organized labor. We've been coming to Washington on the AGOA trade relations in the previous regime, and I think at the center of it all, for me, it is exactly what Mr. Rupert has said, the importance of us growing the economy. We have always emphasized when we were here and kept on coming and negotiating on AGOA that the 600 US companies that are based in South Africa, as you said, President Ramaphosa, 500,000 jobs will be wiped out. We need more foreign direct investment in our country. We are not just talking about those that will lose employment, but we are talking about over 40% of people that are unemployed, that have no hope of ever finding a job. And we think that, correctly, as they have said, that we need to deal with the issue of porous borders. in our country, so that everyone that comes in is documented. We also need to, and I would have thought that the minister would address the issue of land expropriation and how the policy works in South Africa. Recently, President, as you were preparing to come here on the news, in, I think it was in Natal, there was a handover of farms, and white farmers were saying, we are donating the land, but also there's a willing buyer, willing seller in South Africa. So there is no expropriation without compensation, but it is a willing buyer, willing seller. And that white farmer was even saying, President, that the government is even paying more in buying the land than what the land is worth of. And I think those are the realities, President, that we must say that we need to address, of course, but also the importance of agriculture linked to AGOA. People rely on it, and I think, as Retief have said, for survival and living. But lastly, for me, President, is also the issue of the crime statistics. There is no doubt about it that we are a violent nation, for a number of reasons, and we're not condoning anything. But also, if you go into the rural areas where black majority are, you would see women, elderly, being raped, being killed, being murdered. And these are black elderly women that would be found throat slits, raped multiple times, and all of that. And the problem in South Africa, it is not necessarily about race, but it is about crime. And we think that we are here to say, how do we, both nations, work together to reset, to really talk about investment, but also help us in how we can have the technology and everything that is needed, President, to really address the levels of crime that we have in our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
President Trump.
Genocide is a very strong word. I'm wondering if you've made up your mind as to whether you believe genocide is occurring in South Africa, or you still have doubts, and if you have made up your mind, why invite President Ramaphosa here today?
Well, I haven't made up my mind. I hate to see it from the standpoint of South Africa, but also, I'm trying to save lives. I'm working with Russia and Ukraine. I don't have to do that. It's not our war. It was started by other people. It was helped along by our past administration. It would have never happened if I were president, but I'm trying to save lives, no matter where. Rwanda, I have nothing to do with Rwanda and the Congo, but I felt I had a very talented person in this administration, and I sent him there, and he did an unbelievable job, I think. We're going to find out, but he's done the hardest part of the job. It should happen. If I can save lives, I want to save the lives. If it's in Africa, that's great. If it's in Europe, if it's wherever it may be. And it's a very small investment to do, believe me, compared to what the consequences are. So I hope we can do something. Look, I have so many friends. These two men, I have great admiration for them because I know what they do for a living. Yeah. And that's a very hard living. Going from city to city, from country to country, and hitting a ball 350 yards like they do, and
better than you and I.
Getting the ball in the hole. It's a very tough, with lots of people watching, right?
Yes,
That's a very tough living. They're champions. I respect champions, and I respect very much. And I think the country is very lucky. They really wanted to be here.
That's true.
They could be elsewhere. They could be on a beautiful fairway someplace, and they wanted to be here. So.
My name is Yanda Mobile from Newsroom Africa in South Africa.
Good.
How important is it for the United States to be at our G20 summit in November, given the relationship between our two countries? You just heard what has been said to you just now. Are you coming, and are you preparing to come?
So without the United States, the G20, just like the G7, used to be the G8, but brilliantly they threw Russia out. It would have been a lot better if Russia was in. A lot of people would say, oh, that's not it. Because if Russia was in, you probably wouldn't have this war. And if you had a different president, you wouldn't have the war either. Yeah. But we have a G7. It's important that the United States is at both of them. I think without the United States, I really believe it's not very important. It's not the same meeting.
As I said to President Trump, the U.S. really originated the G20. And it's important that the United States continues to play a key role in the G20. And we are privileged to be the president of the G20. But we are even overjoyed that we are going to hand over to the United States, who are the originators. And for that reason, I expect the United States to continue playing the leadership role in the G20 together with other countries. And I've said when I initially spoke to President Trump on the phone, I want him to come to South Africa for a state visit, and I also want him to come and participate in the G20. And I want to gladly hand over to President Trump to take the leadership of the G20 forward in November.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
What is it going to take to convince you?
They don't want to leave.
They like you so much.
How much do you need?
Everybody, please keep moving. Thank you. Keep moving. Keep moving. Keep going. Keep going. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
That's what you call must-watch streaming right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. That was quite the meeting there between the South African president and President Trump. I saw that video online about a month ago, the video from the economic freedom fighters. Those are the ones that you saw on screen there in the Oval Office, and I couldn't believe what I was watching and listening to. And the fact that President Trump played that video in its entirety inside the Oval Office to really drive home the point of what's happening was quite telling there, with how serious he is about saving lives. And also, it's hard to move on before we wrap this broadcast and not mention something, but I'll let you know in a second. We do have more live coverage coming up here on RSBN. So before we wrap it up, let's just say with the whole situation with the NBC reporter Peter Alexander, I cannot believe that after a video like that, instead of understanding the moment that just happened about the death of so many people and about the atrocities that are happening there, and for him to be able to speak and talk about a Qatari airplane from Qatar that is now in the hands of the Department of Defense, and for him to ask a question about that instead of, obviously there's this whole moment of, hey, this is what we're talking about here, this is very serious, and for him to do that is the most soulless thing I think I've seen as a journalist in all my time being a journalist since about 2005. And this makes me so proud to be a part of the family called conservative media. So when Robert McNeely is on later, he's actually here at the studio. I'm going to high five him. I'm going to give him a hug. So Robert, I'm giving you a hug soon, man. Because at the end of the day, we have to have more conservative media rise up in this country. How uncalled for and how terrible that was. And it shows how soulless the fake news is. We are so glad that you guys are with us on Right Side Broadcasting Network, on the right side of history, and for conservative media. Quite the scene there. If you want to watch the replay, please do. That's going to be a lot of people watching that over the next day or two, unless something else happens. But there's a lot of coverage going on. For all of us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, my name is Matthew Alvarez. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you a bit later.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
To celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7, I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7 that for a limited time you can try our 3-pack absolutely free. Or check out our Percale bed sheets. I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes only $29.88, even the queens and kings. Inventory is extremely limited, so order now.